Hello, everybody. It's us. We're here, and we're definitely not stressed at all. I am not sweating profusely at all because of the tech issues that we've been having for the last 25 minutes. This is Chewed Gum. Thank you for being here. It's time for us to do the show, and I'm here with Thinker. Hello, Thinker. How are you?
Hey, Lux. How are you?
You know,
Am I frozen?
You were for a second. Oh yeah, can you just toggle your camera off and back on? And that usually fixes it, except for all of the other problems that we've been having all day. In which case, maybe
Okay,
it'll.
there we go.
There we go. Okay, well,
Nope,
we're
back again.
this is just the normal tech issues. We've now slid back into the normal tech problems that we're typically having, which is like slightly less stressful than some of the other things that we've been dealing with.
I'm gonna sit like this the whole show.
Yeah. I was always like, you just got to have a really good freeze frame face, just always be making a perfect face to freeze frame into is the ideal situation. So we're here. This is Chewed Gum. This is a show about women's issues. For the most part, we talk about relationships and the effect of purity culture on women and the negative impacts that religion can have on women in particular. So that's what we are here to talk about today. Let me make sure I didn't just close something I actually needed. Cool. All right. So basically we were just having some issues with the Zoom call earlier, and it seems like we've mostly resolved it. And now we're just waiting for some calls. So this is a call-in show. We've got the number on the screen. Or no, it's not on the screen because that got deleted earlier. I just realized Jimmy fixed the lower third, and then we closed the Zoom and the vMix. So that's okay. I will see if I can fix that up while I'm kind of trying to figure everything else out. We do have a couple callers waiting. I see two callers. Both are atheists. The main purpose of the show is to have conversations about religion with religious folks. What is the title? Is the Bible anti-progress? What a great question.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Would you be willing to vamp on that for a second while I finish getting set up?
Yeah, because it is definitely anti-progress, and I think Jesus is the doorstop to progression.
Really?
Yes.
Like preventing it from.
Yeah, I think Jesus would have been a conservative.
That's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I really like to high road Christians by being like, yeah, well, I actually know what Christ said, and I live a more Christ-like life than you do. But you think he would be fully on there with them?
Yeah. Jesus was a stickler for the Torah. He
Mm,
was more in line with the Sadducees. He literally argued that children who disobeyed their parents deserved the death penalty because the law said it. And the Pharisees, he was like, "You hypocritical, non religious, faux God lovers, you're supposed to be stoning kids." Like,
mm,
to me, like Jesus was against progression. And then he turns himself into like the guy that gives everybody grace for doing fuck shit
mm,
and excusing themselves because hey, they're in this special club. Don't you dare condemn us. We have grace, although you can't call us a sinners, although we sin. Like Jesus would have been he definitely would have been a conservative. And I think because they have this loyalty to this God, we're like stuck in the late Bronze Age, first century Greco-Roman mindset
mm.
that we're arguing with people about why rape is wrong, why slavery,
Legitimately.
yeah, like why slavery is a bad thing. Like it's ridiculous. And I saw a video while we were waiting on the tech issues, and there was
Mhm.
a lady, she's like, atheism is so bad. Like, I don't even want to understand atheism. Like, it's just so bad. Don't ask me about atheism. I don't want to understand it because, like, not believing in God is like you like saying you don't believe in air. And I just looked at that video like, what the fuck did she just say? Like, air is real. Try
Yeah.
not to breathe it. So,
Do
like,
people think just because they can't see something that that means that that they're equally intangible in that way? I don't know.
yeah, because she forgets that if she like doesn't have air, she will fucking die. Like you can forget that you don't have a God and you're still gonna live. Like, what is the benefit? We know what the benefit is to air. We know what the consequence is to not having air. What the fuck is the benefit or the consequence to not having your God? Like, I don't understand it.
That is a fantastic question. And I'd love for somebody to call in. Like what bad thing is gonna happen because you don't have your God? Like if you were to stop believing or like if the universe were to change, because these people really do deeply believe that like God is a fundamental fact of the universe in the way that we think that gravity is a
Mhm.
fundamental fact of the universe. So it's like what bad thing would happen if God stopped existing? You know, like what do you think the universe would look like if there wasn't a God? Like, do you think he's holding everything together? Like he's the charge between particles, like keeping every electrical connection together and like all of our cells and everything? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know
they
what
think the
people
sun
think.
would fall out the sky. I think they think the earth would just fall to the ground.
Yeah.
And they're like, he's holding the world in his hand and he's rotating it for the sun to rise every morning. I think they really think that.
That is so funny because it's like so Stone Age sounding, right? That like you think back to my mom, she was like in college for English the whole time I was growing up, and she was doing like she wanted to be an English teacher, but she had a minor in classical studies. So I was hearing about Greek and Roman gods all the time, and she was reading the Odyssey and the Iliad for classes and everything. And they believed back then, like I think they genuinely like believed in a guy with a chariot pulling the sun across the sky. So it's like, how much further have we really come as a
Not far.
species? Yeah.
And that's because of Jesus. Like
Yeah.
literally. I think he is definitely stopping the progression. We should be further along in our cognitive development as a species. And unfortunately, we have young people talking about planets aren't real. And while she lives on a fucking planet.
That's
So,
embarrassing. It's actually
yeah.
really embarrassing.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh. Well, we are taking calls, y'all. The number is 720-619-2288. We do have lines open right now. And we'd love to talk to some Christians, some theists. If you're an anti-feminist, I've got some questions. I've got some really sharp arguments for in favor of abortion. Those are the kind of things that we want to talk about today, or at least that's what I'm prepared to talk about today. And if you are here and you're enjoying hanging out, thank you so much for being so patient for us, by the way. If y'all have been just kind of hanging out for that half hour while we were trying to figure things out, feel free to hit the like button. I'm doing the same right now. And then also, if you click share and then copy the link, I would really love if you did copy paste the link somewhere else. But as far as YouTube is concerned, if you just click copy the link, that counts for putting the show out there and getting more people in here to call us and talk to us. Because listen, I would love to shoot the shit with Thinker for 2 hours, but that's not really what the show is about. Yeah, I'm gonna just give Jimmy a little text to see if he can help me figure out this banner situation. And will you vamp about something for a second?
I don't know what to talk about by myself. No, y'all go ahead and call in. I do see that there's can I talk about the call that's waiting? Because I'm interested in knowing what that is.
Listen, I mean, if you want to start and take the call, I'm all for that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Which one did you want to talk to? 1 or 2?
One. I'm frozen again. Okay, one, because I want to know what they mean by diet racism.
Sure. Okay, cool. All right. So we are going to talk to Pip, who uses they, them pronouns and is from the UK and is an atheist. And I'm going to see if I can get a lower third up here. Pip. Oh, come on. Click the button. Let's go. Pip, you're live. What's going on? Oh, hold on. You're muted. Wait 1 second. Okay, now you're not muted. Okay, there, Pip.
Okay, there we go.
There you are.
Now can you hear me?
Yeah. We're figuring things out.
Hi, Pip.
This is something that Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just saying hello.
Nice to meet you, Thinker. I don't think we've spoken before, but this is something that I wanted your input specifically as a Black individual, because I am white as fuck, and therefore your perspective is going to be perhaps a bit more informed than mine. I need to give you a bit of context, though, just because it's focused on UK politics, and while we do have, Black people here of Jamaican and African descent, a more common minority is Arab or Indian, and a lot of the racism is focused around Muslims, and though it's often framed as being anti-Islamic, it's usually just anti-Arab. And so the problem I'm bringing here is diet racism, which is a term that comes from a college humor sketch, which is like, imagine racism as like a full Coca-Cola, your KKK, your Klan, your white power Nazis, all that kind of thing. And diet racism is something that's a bit more common and that more people buy into, because they're not explicitly racist in that they are not saying that, Black individuals or, Arab individuals are inferior, but they are saying things like, oh, well, Black people get policed more because that's where the crime is, ignoring the issues of systemic racism and how poverty affects that. And this all stems from my former dungeon master, who I've mentioned before on the show, but you probably won't want to have heard about, Thinker, who is a Reform UK supporter. Reform UK is the UK's extreme right-wing party. They are, constantly banging the drum of anti-immigration, saying Britain is false, saying that, immigrants are getting priority houses that, British people deserve. And the guy who ran my D&D campaign, while not explicitly racist, and when presented with explicit racism from Reform UK members, says, oh, she got told off for it, as she should. But he's still buying into, a lot of the, more subtle racist rhetoric, particularly from the likes of Charlie Kirk, when he said that he would be anxious if a Black pilot was qualified. And he justifies it as, well, I would expect, a pilot to be qualified, and if they're lowering their standards, that's a problem. The problem is that it's complete bullshit, and the only thing being lowered is the number of hours a pilot has to get in, from say 8,000 to 7,900. And so where I'm going with this, I understand I've been kind of rambling for a bit, but where I'm going with this is that it's a bit harder for me to socially know when to say enough is enough when it comes to diet racism, because it's always straddling the line. And I think it's Brenda Lee or something like that, that bullshit always takes more time, a hell of a lot more time to debunk than it does to, actually spew in the first place. So I'm wondering, how can we best deal with diet racism, the people who buy into racist rhetoric that don't explicitly hold racist beliefs in our social life? And, when is the point where we say, yeah, fuck you, I'm not dealing with you anymore?
So I guess that I'm not quite sure how to answer that question, because I don't deal with any kind of fucking racism, whether it's diet racism or full-on fledged buffet. And so, like, if there's like microaggressions, like I get a lot of microaggressions on my live, and I call that shit out right away. I don't coddle people's feelings when it comes to discrimination, whether it's Islamophobia, xenophobia, outright racism, bigotry, prejudice, homophobia, like anything. I don't do diet anything. And so there are people who will say things like, well, systemically, this group of people did X, Y, Z. And I'll go through stats with them and really get to the bottom of why they think what they think or how they feel. But I mean, people are like, they have their reasons for thinking what they think. And you can kind of tell when they want to believe the things that they believe, and when they are just genuinely misinformed, right? And so I do not make a racist, whether they are doing it um, overtly or covertly. I do not make them feel comfortable whatsoever.
That makes sense. Yeah, and it's a case of the guy in question has genuine good in him. Like, he is helping out with the local community in, dealing with people who are being let down by the local government. Like, one of his issues was that an elderly lady he's helping out with was dealing with mold infestation in her home that the council was dragging their heels in dealing with, and he felt that the local government was like prioritizing building psychopaths over helping the individuals. And stuff like this, I can kind of see where he's coming from. And I think that there is a genuine desire to help people. And he's accepted me, no question, as a non-binary person, and even offered to, help, body double or shadow me in getting to, like, the place where we did our D&D games, when I was experimenting with presenting more feminine. And so there is very clearly a compassionate heart buried in there somewhere, but it's just bloody exhausting dealing with all the nonsense that pops up, which he is completely blind to because he just does not understand white privilege. And when he says that, he explicitly said to me that he cannot be convinced that Charlie Kirk was anything other than a good person, despite all the obvious transphobia and obvious racism the belly concealed.
Then he just, like, if he says something like that, he can't see. First off, it's actual history that a Black man is responsible for creating the version of airplanes that we use for long distance flights today. So for Charlie Kirk to say something as so derogatory and racist as there are no good black pilots, or he doesn't expect a Black pilot to know how to fly a plane. The reason you have pilots that can fly long distance planes is because a Black man used his own materials to create the first long distance airplane. So, like, fuck what Charlie Kirk said, and fuck what this person says. Like, if he's saying that, oh, Charlie Kirk is a good person, or like he's right about what he said, then he does not want to know anything different. And sometimes you just gotta let people be who they're gonna be, right? I'm not chasing behind a racist to make a racist like my ass. Like, they come in my live every night and just, throw out the N-word. And I'll ask them, let me ask you a question. Why the fuck do you need me to know that you don't like me so much? Like,
yeah, truly.
I don't understand that. Like, you are chasing me to say I don't like you, and like, why do you need me to know that so much? Like, I say focus on the people that genuinely are just ill-informed, or they were raised one way and they really want to put in the work, because it's uncomfortable deconstructing from anything, right? And so, I mean, I honestly don't have an answer for you, because I do not waste my time with the ones that want to believe incorrect stats that some influencer said on social media just because they're freaking popular.
I will say something that
sorry, go on.
Sorry, yeah, it's okay. So one thing that I've seen in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's passing was that basically, like, there are two versions of Charlie Kirk that exist on the internet. There is the version that we see with all of the horrendous comments and stuff, and then there's like the version that your run-of-the-mill Christian sees, and our algorithm has separated these things out. So, like, when a Christian is like using the internet, they see clips of Charlie Kirk. They see a 50-second clip of him saying things that are basically normal things that Christian men say. Like, we need stability for the family, and women need to take care of their children and stuff like that. He's like, obviously it's like conservative shit, but it's not like crazy as far as like rhetorically, right? Like, so folks do not see, because of the way that the algorithm filters, they do not see the posts where Charlie Kirk is like, yeah, a certain amount of gun deaths every year are acceptable. That's the price that we pay for our Second Amendment rights. Or that he's constantly talking about, how terrible black people are, or whatever thing that he's glommed onto, past tense. So I would say, like, yeah, if this guy is like, maybe your friend or like your D&D person's connection to Charlie Kirk is like more those kind of run of the mill, maybe I don't agree with the guy, but he didn't say anything too offensive. Like, that mindset that people have where they're like, well, what could it possibly he have done or said? So that's where people are like, oh, this is just anti-Christian, because they've only ever seen him saying pretty milquetoast Christian stuff. So if your friend is like unfamiliar with Charlie Kirk in that sense of like, oh, I didn't realize he actually said this stuff, then it could be as easy as, hey, here's like 5 clips of him saying these really awful things. Maybe you didn't see it before, and treat it like, oh, hey, I don't know if you know this, but here's the context. Here's why I dislike Charlie Kirk so much. And then kind of go from there. Because if it's just a lack of familiarity, then that could be fixed. Like that, like ignorance could be a fixable problem.
I think he said he knows about the comments about the.
Oh, really? I was only half paying attention.
No, I get it. You were doing
yeah.
tech issues. But if I'm not mistaken, Pip, you said your friend knows about those statements from Charlie Kirk, right?
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to add that a lot of what he says is excused under the typical. You probably heard people say, like, oh, you can't say you're a proud American without being called racist and stuff like that. Well, he does the same thing for, British people. He thinks that he seems to be under the impression that flying the Union Jack somehow makes you a racist, and that you'll be called racist or phobic of some kind. And no, it's the fact that the people who are constantly draping themselves all over in, Union Jacks and flags and constantly tying them to lampposts for some reason. That's a whole rabbit hole we don't have time to go down. But
that like sounds like it's coming from a place of ignorance. Like it sounds to me like that is a guy who doesn't know what he actually said, and he's like, oh well, you'll be called racist for any old reason. Like, no, I'm saying he's racist because he blames like black people for their own oppression. Like that is the thing that's going on here. So that's what I mean when I say it sounds like this is coming from a place of ignorance.
I think I definitely think like racism can't come from anywhere but ignorance. But so I think that the idea that Black people are contributing to their own oppression or is rooted in the idea that slavery ended 285 years ago. Jim Crow, like they don't think about when Jim Crow ended, right? And it's slavery ended this long ago. Therefore, you all had the same rights as everybody else for 285 years. So you should be caught up by now. And they don't think about how even after slavery ended, the Jim Crow laws and the more refining and tightening and codifying of the systemic issues that prioritize specific groups of people. And so they think that just because the chains were gone, everybody had the same opportunities. And so we shouldn't be, blaming anybody but ourselves. 285 years is enough. But Jesus died 2,500 years ago, and these motherfuckers still sinning. They still talking about they trying to get it right, but they think that systemic racism should be solved, and the oppression and the trauma and all of that should like they're expecting more from us than they're expecting from their God, right? Like, and I hear this just sounds like to me when you were talking about the algorithm being split and how they're feeding conservative Christians one picture of Charlie Kirk, and then they're feeding everybody else this racist, the racism, the sexism, and homophobia, and all of that, the things that he said. This is the way that we were given Jesus as well, right? And white evangelical churches, Jesus was given to them as he is the perfect example for the traditional family, the nuclear family. Jesus wants the husband, the wife, the husband is the head of the house, and be a good citizen, be successful, you'll get your reward. And then it was given to everybody else as Jesus gonna whoop your ass if you get out of line, right? This is who you call on, right? When you're suffering. Suffering is a part of your thing, and here are your oppression. Here's the thing that you're suffering with: your oppression. And that's how the algorithm. That's as you were explaining that. It made me think about when I am talking to evangelical Christians about Christianity, and I have to talk to them about different things, right? And you can tell the ones that genuinely critically think and want to understand what you're saying when it comes to Christianity, and they typically also want to deconstruct the racism. And so like we have a lot of ex-evangelicals in my community online. And whenever I have to go off on a supremacist or, somebody saying some racist shit, they'll sit there and they'll say, I ain't saying shit. Like they don't do, it's not all white people. They sit there, right? And they know that we have to have these conversations in order to actually address the problem. And it's the same thing, with Christianity too. But like with your friend, I agree with Lux. There is ignorance there. But it does not mean that they're not aware of the racist things that Charlie Kirk has said. They may agree with them in ignorance because they think 285 years Black people should already be further along. Right. And so like if I were you, Pip, I would just be like, how should they be further along when y'all not and Jesus been gone 2,500 years? What's the difference between y'all getting y'all shit together and them and 285, 2,500? Like I would ask them to make sense out of that.
Yeah. I think ultimately the problem with him is that He's taking this in very surface level, enlightened centrist view of, well, both sides have extremists who are bad. The left is just as violent as the right, and doesn't seem to really understand how systemic violence disproportionately, affects ethnic minorities. Like, he directly told me that he's experienced as, a subway manager, that there was one Arab couple who asked to be served by someone else because he was white. And while he seems to think that that was equal racism because it was judging someone by their skin color, what he doesn't seem to get is that we don't know, and he doesn't know, what experiences that couple may have had. Maybe they've been, had racial abuse hurled at them that day or recently, or largely have it as a large part of their life. And so I am just emotionally exhausted. And what's worse is I feel that the right wing often weaponizes tone policing, in that if you get angry, or if you start, doing anything other than holding them with kid gloves, then you're the bad guy. You're the problem. You're the one who's flying off the handle. And I'm just, tired of justifying this bullshit, trying to correct this bullshit. But at the same time, I feel like a degree of almost guilt because he is coming from a place of ignorance. And I have tried to offer him a calm point of view, and it's just not going anywhere. So while he isn't explicitly intentionally racist, he's definitely falling into it because, well, he is blinded by privilege.
Yeah, but Pip, so you have a privilege too for you to say that you're getting tired of dealing with it, because we can't get tired of dealing with it. Mm-hmm. Right? So you have to also recognize that what you just said came from a place of privilege as well. Like, you're not like,
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because you can't get tired of dealing with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just a phrasing bit on my part, but you're right. I don't experience this on my life, and so whatever exhaustion I might feel over, fighting this and being your typical angry SJW isn't comparable to the racial minorities who live it. And I apologize if I implied that.
No, I mean, you don't have to apologize. It's just about recognizing where you have room to grow and still things to deconstruct as well. Right? Because if we're talking to other people about things that they need to deconstruct, and it might be that even sometimes the language that you're using, they don't see a need to deconstruct because they can still see a little bit of it in you, in your language. So I would just say be aware of that as well. But it is tiring. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it does get tiring. And it's heartbreaking, right? When you see human beings looking at other human beings as, thinking that they are better than the next. They can't empathize with them because they think empathy is made up or a modern term or a sin. And so it does get very tiring to have to constantly educate grown-ass adults. But unfortunately, that is the world that we live in, and we've got a lot of cleaning up to do. We've allowed them to party for too damn long, and so we've got a lot of cleaning up to do.
I would say, and we're probably going to wrap up here in a second, Pip, but I would say, like, I don't know if UK culture is like this, but honestly, what a fucking snowflake. Do you think it would make a difference if you were like, wow, I'd never realized that you were such a victim about everything? Like, everything's happening to you all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, men hate it when you point out how fucking hysterical they're being and how much of a victim mentality they have. But like, the idea that like, oh, I'm upset because an Arab couple, which in the UK, that's like y'all are more racist toward brown people from the Middle East than you are toward black people, as far as I can tell. Like, I'm not saying Like, it just seems like they're much more aggressively, like they're talking about immigration. It's always about, and there's like a specific racial slur that y'all have for brown people from the Middle East. Like, so I honestly I wonder if there is an element of this where you could be like, yeah, wow, I had no idea that you were the victim in the dynamic of Middle Eastern immigrants to the UK. Like, really? And you're really making a big deal out of all this? Like, I'm not really sure how, because the thing is, Pip, every conversation that we have is like a unique approach. And like, I can't give like a overarching, here's what's going to work, because it like changes from person to person and also from moment to moment. Like, maybe some person needs like to be gently explained, like, here's why Charlie Kirk was racist, and like, I'm gonna calmly explain it to you and show you a video. And other times you just need to tell them to get the fuck over themselves. Like, I will always advocate that there are many different approaches that can work in any form of deconstruction. Like, sometimes you need Matt Dillahunty to tell you you're a fucking idiot. And sometimes you need Alyssa, who is endlessly patient to the point of frustrating our audience sometimes, because everybody needs a different approach. Yeah.
Well, how does your friend define racism, Pip?
Sorry, thank you. You cut up a bit there.
How does your friend define racism? Like, what's their definition of it?
I don't think he has explicitly given me a definition, though from what I infer from our conversations, it is very, very surface level of disliking someone because of their skin color. It is that rudimentary.
Okay. I would have that conversation with them and kind of explain to them that it's more than just that. It's more than just that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I need to do is, for the sake of like my own, sanity, and this is like a personal mental health thing, is I need to be able to just back off a bit. I know that, not everyone has that luxury, but, I think I need to let him come to me if he's going to be spouting this shit, rather than just, trying to extract it from me, because it's not healthy for me. But I greatly appreciate your time and your advice, and I will leave you by saying that at least we can take solace in that we are not so stupid as to believe a racist grifter who steals a photo of a completely different country just to show, just to pretend that their turnout for their racist rally was much bigger than it was. Tommy Robinson is a moron.
All right, thank you, Pip. Have a good one.
Thank you very much for your time.
We can't hear you, Lux.
I muted myself. Sorry. My bad. So Pip didn't even hear me say goodbye. Sorry, everybody. I was like typing. I have two keyboards. Like, I just want you to envision for a moment a regular desk, with a keyboard and a mouse. And then I want you to envision that on top of that keyboard is a dinner tray with another keyboard on top of it. And that's what I've got. So I'm just like typing and correcting stuff. And it was like so loud, and I muted myself. Because I have more keyboards than I know what to do with. Anyway, so we do still have lines open, 720-619-2288. We don't have a call waiting right now. So I actually wanted to ask you, I was going to ask you before we started, but I was dealing with other stuff and forgot. And forgive me if this is tokenizing you somewhat, but have you seen Sinners?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I would love to get your thoughts on because first of all, like the depiction of Jim Crow, I learned things that I should have learned in high school, right? Like I should have learned already that there was plantation money that you couldn't spend anywhere else. Like I should have known that. But I think it's so interesting to see on such a large platform, like a Black creator discussing the idea of Christianity as something that's inflicted on Black folks. And I'm just curious what you thought of that angle.
It's the first time ever, like you said, on the big screen, that anyone has put African spirituality before Christianity. And I freaking loved the movie. Like I was so excited the whole entire time.
Mhm.
I can't remember every part of the movie now because it was so long ago when
Sure.
I watched it, but um, the part about when he was saying the Lord's Prayer and when the guy, the Irish guy, started saying it with him, that was so powerful to me because it's basically like it showed how, one, there is no power in that. It showed how even when because the Irish were originally enslaved right alongside African Americans, and then they were given the opportunity to transition to whiteness, and then even when they started, oppressing the same people they used to dance with and sleep with, and plan resurrect insurrections with,
Yeah.
they started in oppressing them. And then so he's saying the prayer, and nothing happens. But what saves them is the African spirituality. And that
Mhm.
was so freaking powerful to me.
Yeah.
I remember when I watched what's the one Jay-Z did?
I have no idea.
Oh my gosh.
I'm terrible with
The
names.
Book of Clarence. The Book of Clarence.
Oh,
I
okay.
was expecting the Book of Clarence to be what Sinners was. And
Hmm.
so I was like really excited. But I was so pissed because all they did was re-indoctrinate Black people into the religion, into like the idea that Black people are the Israelites in the Bible. I was so mad at the Book of Clarence. But the Sinners did exactly what I was hoping for and been waiting to happen. And it opened the conversation um, that allowed Black people to talk about why they do not believe in this God. And yeah, so it was a very powerful thing.
Yeah. I feel like I mean, there's unique things in every subculture, but from growing up in Kansas City and like the fact that it's so hard for us to find Black atheists to join our network. Like y'all, it seems like y'all have a very particular kind of like social pressure, especially from your families. It's like
Mhm.
Mexicans and
Yeah,
Catholicism. Like they have a
yeah.
really hard time with their families trying to deconstruct because of this like really intense social culture around it.
Yeah, because it came through systemic racism, right?
Hmm.
And so in the Black community, there is a time period that's called the hidden church.
Mm.
If there's a book called Slave Religion, I can't remember the author's name, but you should read it. But it talks about the first version of the God that our ancestors were introduced to during slavery, and a lot of them were not even told about Jesus. It was just God.
Hmm.
Some of them were preached God. Some of them were preached Jesus, and it was just obey your master, uh, love God, don't steal, don't lie. Like they were not
Sure.
given anything else outside of that, and so they as after slavery and our ancestors started realizing like who they were worshiping, they started reinterpreting the God into like a liberation theology. So
Mm.
that then they started using that version of the God to get them through, right, civil rights, uh, and movements that move them towards abolishing certain things. And so they see that as our saving grace. Like, how do you turn
Yeah.
your back on the thing that got our ancestors through? And so you pass the God down traditionally. You
Hmm.
don't say anything negative about the God. You don't question the God. Authority, 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 authority. And
Yeah.
so atheism is taboo in the Black community. And so right now, it, we have literally sent shockwaves through our community right now. And they're figuring out, right, how to deal with it. They think they're going to make us go away, but they're going to have to figure out how to live with us because we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's so interesting, like how each community has all these different pressures and approaches deconstruction differently, and like the family tensions and everything. It's like so complicated, and like I feel like even the legacy of the civil rights movement, because Dr. King was such a central figure, it's like it is so deeply entwined with that, like using Christianity as your base argument for civil rights, like for equal treatment, like we're all God's children kind of thing.
Mhm.
Which I think is, yeah, it's like definitely impacted us to this day, that was such a critical element. Like, yeah, I guess liberation theology is like a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think, I looked up the book, Slave Religion by Albert Roboteau. Does that sound right?
Hold on, let me look in my thing. I thought his name started with a C. It's in my ever end.
Just want to make sure we're shouting it out.
That's how you say it. Raboteau.
Yeah.
Albert J. Raboteau. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. Yeah, Slave Religion, the Invisible Institution in the Antebellum South is the full title, and I'm adding it to my list. Excellent. Well, y'all, we do actually have, are you seeing this call that we have right now? What do you think about that?
Am I justified in becoming racist?
Do you want to take that call? Like, I mean,
we can. Like, what the fuck?
Okay. So we have one call waiting. We're going to take that call. While we are doing that, though, listen, y'all, we still have, I don't know, probably like another hour of calls. With the late start, I'm frazzled. We'll see what happens.
I mean, everybody wants to talk about race. Nobody wants to talk about Jesus. I mean, Jesus called a woman a dog.
When did that happen? That's not one that I've heard before.
In Matthew 15 and Mark 7. Right after he advocated for children to be executed for disobeying their parents. He was xenophobic. I guess you could call it racist because she was Greek. Sure. But yeah, like everybody wants to talk about racism, but nobody wants to talk about Jesus.
Yeah, like honestly, y'all want to talk about race? Let's talk about Jesus's racism, okay? If y'all want to say Jesus was such a good guy, like we can criticize the Bible all day, okay? There's all kinds of crazy stuff in the Bible. At the end of the day, Christians believe that Jesus Christ was a good dude, and also that he was the Son of God, and that you should listen to him and what he says. But if he was actually a racist D-bag, then that like puts a major axe in your whole belief system and your whole argument, right? Like you might be able to argue, oh, so-and-so in the Bible said that, but that's just what that guy said. That's not reflective of what actually Jesus or God would want. So it's easy to knock you down on the Bible point, people in the audience. Listen. Yeah. But yeah, Jesus as an actual dude, I haven't read the Bible. Being honest with you, most of the Bible talking points that I have are because I have to sit here multiple times a week while I'm producing and listen to everybody talk about the Bible. So I'm like, he actually said not a jot or tittle would be changed from the old law. I totally stole that from listening to everybody else talk about it. But listen, Thinker is well-versed, pun intended, in the Bible. And we've still got lines open. So if y'all want to call us, 720-619-2288. We are here specifically for the purpose of talking about the Bible and its impact on women. But we will talk about Jesus. We will talk about the Bible, broadly speaking. Like I've been wanting to hone my abortion arguments more. So listen, if you're here and you're just hanging out, hit the like button if you haven't already. Share it out if you can. That would be useful because I would rather not just take trickling in one call at a time for the next hour. That sounds like not very fun. So help me out. Help me out here in the audience. With that, we will go ahead and take this call who's waiting. We're going to speak to Jason, who has any all pronouns from New Zealand, who's an atheist and wants to talk about racism. Jason, you're live with Luxander and Thinker. How's it going?
Hi, Lux. Hi, Thinker. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hi. You're called in because
now that
you want to know
if with the technical difficulties show.
Yeah. Your question is, are you justified? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Your question is, are you justified in becoming a racist?
Yes.
Can you elaborate?
So yeah, just over time, it seems to me to be becoming more and more undeniable that there's one group of people who seem to be responsible for more crime, more terrorism, more oppression, more government-sanctioned violence, and also illegal violence. But we're not supposed to bring it up. And every time we do raise it, they just throw a fit. And people might be assuming, especially in the American context, that I'm talking about black people, but I'm talking about globally, it's white people.
I figured that's where you were going. I figured that's where you were going.
Good. So yeah, I mean, like I was calling to talk about something else, but that call with Pip just kind of got me a bit riled up about it, because it's like in your country now, there's what in any other time would be called open racists and supremacists just walking out in the open, you know? I mean, the only way it can be more obvious for some of them is if they put up a Nazi flag, you know? You know, and some of them even do that, and they still, you know, and yet they still turn around and say atheists and minorities, you know, whether it's people of color or gender minorities, you know, they try and split us off into all these different boxes. And when you look at the majority of violence and oppression that's happened over time, it's just undeniable that it's been people who are considered white, but then that's a problematic category because it's just changed and morphed over time. So it's become a group of whoever it's convenient to include. And the moment people don't.
Did we lose you there, Jason? If your phone fell asleep on the screen, then that might be why. But I want to like assert my response. If I mean, I see that the connection is still live, so I'm hoping that you'll be able to hear me, Jason. But like, there's like what we were just discussing is that racism is not just prejudice. Like that's the issue that Pip's friend is having, is the idea that racism is like prejudice on the basis of race. Like, yeah, there you are. I can hear you now. I think your phone probably just fell asleep. But yeah, so like your personal prejudice is not the same as like a system that's working. Can you hear us? Hello. We're just having tech issues, all kinds of tech issues today. I can hear Jason, but Jason can't hear us.
Oh, hello. I can hear you now.
Okay, there.
Did you hear any of that rant?
I heard most of it. And I wanted to jump in because something that you said tickled my ear a little bit regarding the definition of racism. And like, I think if you are personally prejudiced against white people, that I would just call that prejudice. Whereas like racism is very specifically a system where like from the top down, there is like oppression and stigma and stereotyping and everything. So like, I don't know that it's possible to be racist against white people. I mean, like, sure, maybe in Japan, like it's possible to be racist against white people because they're a minority and Japan is super fucking weird about race and nationalism. But on a global scale, I don't know that it's possible. I mean, I would say any person of color is justified in disliking or distrusting white people, like full stop. As far as like being racist toward white people, like I don't even know that that's possible, actually.
I think white people can be racist towards other white people, right? Like there's intergroup racism.
Sure.
So like what Jason is talking about, like the supremacists, the Yazis, I wouldn't necessarily I mean, I think that would be intragroup racism. And then I think if he just disliked white people just because, you know, or he mistreated all white people, that would be prejudice, discrimination, not necessarily intragroup racism. So does that make sense? And so when he's asking, is it wrong for me to become racist? When intragroup racism for the white community is pointed towards the supremacist group, the Yahtzee group, I wouldn't say you're wrong, right? I get not wanting to support that and not wanting to be around that. But then if you are like a white person, you're like, fuck it, I hate that I'm white. I was born white. Why? Then you're mistreating all white people. That's prejudice. That's discrimination. That's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah. I was sort of seeing racism as being more like a form of prejudice rather than as looking at it systemically. So yeah, that's a good other way of thinking it to think about. But don't seriously think that I'm going to prejudge all white people. I just wanted to raise the conversation that, like basically if we were talking about white people the way that they talk about, other groups, cis white males in particular, we'd be having a very different conversation. I know that we need to have a bit of sensitivity, but yeah, I don't know, where's that line between coddling people? And I really love that that's not something that you buy into, think, oh, that's great, that you fight back full bore. I think we kind of need more of that. Of course, all approaches are good in some context, but yeah, I kind of feel like I get disappointed that theists and cis white men in particular get given the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm. I want to add on to this. Yeah. Sorry, good. You're all good. So I just wanted to add as well that I think that it is fair and makes sense to despise whiteness, which is not the same as despising people of a complexion. That like I hate whiteness because I hate that I have no fucking idea where my family came from.
Yeah.
Like I have no cultural background aside from just Marvel and mac and cheese.
Yeah, because whiteness is an idea, just right, like just like the God is an idea. Whiteness is an idea.
It's a bullshit idea. It's a bullshit idea.
Yeah. So anytime when I talk about whiteness, I always let people know I'm not talking about you being European or you being Irish or you being Italian or German or Dutch. I'm talking about the existence of the idea of whiteness as superior, right? And I think white supremacy has harmed everybody, including Europeans, the French, the Dutch. It's harmed everybody. And in fact, like when I'm talking to the racists when they come on my line, I say, you're angry because you're failing in the world of white supremacy.
And, so true.
And you're lashing out.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, because that's what's happening, right? Like they've been sold this idea of whiteness, that everything white, everything that looks white is right, is superior, is talented, is intelligent. Like you're supposed to be the cream of the crop. But a lot of white men fell at that. A lot of white men fell at that, and they feel like something's been taken from them if they see white women or people of other ethnicities succeeding past them, because they just don't fucking have it. That they've been sold a lie, and because they cannot live up to this lie, they feel like a failure, and then they're lashing out at everybody.
Yeah, and it's their right, and they don't see how this mythology about how I should be at this particular level just because of how I shot out of the womb, actually harms them as well as harming everyone else. We've got to contend with all their hissy fits. Just for context, I come from a lineage of South African racists, and my father is Indian. So I'm white passing, and especially in New Zealand, I hear certain racist and homophobic ideas because I'm also straight passing. being talked about, and I'm trying more and more to just call things out. You know, like when people casually say, you know, oh, that's gay, I'll say, oh, it's not that good. You know, just to challenge people subtly. But yeah, no, thanks for that. It's been a good conversation, and it's really, I'm going to listen back to it because there's a lot of really, really amazing points that you've made that that sort of give me a different perspective on my thinking about the whole thing. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
You're welcome, Jason. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah. We appreciate you. And what time is it? Is it the morning where you are right now? What are you doing? go to work or something, whatever you're supposed to be doing right now.
It's the middle of the day. I'm just chilling with my kitten, so that's it's really good. But yeah, I just wanted to say if we've got another couple of minutes, that sure. I really enjoyed seeing Thinker on the line the other day. On your first appearance, and I thought it was a bit of a baptism by fire to get Carlos and Andrew on the same show.
That was crazy.
But yes. I thought it was amazing how you handled Andrew, and it just really shows that diversity of outlook is such a strength, because you all just bring such different skills and outlooks and abilities, and it's great to see that developing more and more on the line. Yeah, great.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Jason.
Well,
I like the way you spell your name, by the way. That's
cool. That is really cool. You're sinful and you are embracing it, and that's good.
Yeah, I claim it. It's a chosen name I go by.
Hell yeah. Well, cool. Well, we do have a caller waiting. I'll go ahead and let you go, Jason. We appreciate you, and give that kitten some extra loves and kisses for me. I also got a new cat recently, and she gets too many kisses, so I need to distribute them a little bit.
Good on you.
All right. Thanks for your call. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Okay.
Listen, we still have open lines for the time being, and we got another person who wants to come in and talk about racism. Listen, I bet as a Black American, Thinker is done talking about racism for like 1 whole hour. Can we have 1 hour where we talk about something else?
Oh, we got one. Lot's Daughters.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll take the call about Lot in a moment. I did want to say, by the way, while we're here, that we've got so many other great shows on the line, so many other wonderful things going on, including, if my schedule is correct, it looks like Thinker is going to be on Saturday with Justin. Does that sound accurate to you?
Am I?
It says on the 23rd. All right, cool.
Okay, what time?
5 p.m. Central, which is a weird one. We don't do any of our other shows at 5, so it's like just weird on Saturdays. But yeah, so if you guys want to see more of Thinker, and like maybe even more exclusively talking about the Jesus stuff, because people know when they call Justin, they're here to talk about the Bible. So I don't know, maybe it's something about being on Chewed Gum that's like, we also don't usually get that many heavy theist-based calls here, just because it's like a broader topic. It's like almost bordering on a political show, kind of. So, but pay attention, you guys. We got so many good shows. We got The Hang Up tomorrow with Matt and Justin at 6 p.m. Central. And we've got TACIS this week. And thank God I'm not going to be on it. I finally get a little bit of a break. We're going to have Riverboat Jack and Josie on Thursday. And then Saturday, we've got Devangelicals with Thinker and Justin at 5 p.m. I will be producing that show. And don't forget also, if you want to get into more of the politics stuff, check out the Jimmy Snow and the Line channel. We have got, normally we go pitch it to them afterwards, but I think that they already did theirs earlier today. But we will have Calling It Now with me and Jovan on Thursday. So that's going to be exciting. And stay tuned, because there's new shows coming out all the time. And we're expanding constantly and doing new stuff. So yeah, click back, check your notification settings, click the bell and all that jazz. And we are going to take this call from Lindsay. She, her pronouns, from Colorado. I know that the lower third is not correct. I'll change it in a second. Who wants to talk about Lot and his daughters. Lindsay, you're live with Luxander and Thinker. How's it going?
Hello. Pretty good. So, Finger, I haven't talked to you yet. What are your pronouns?
She, her.
She, her. Okay, thank you. I just have a few people who go by they, them, and I wanted to be correct because I like being correct. So I'm
Me
newly
too.
agnostic.
Big relate.
Yeah. And so I was just curious about Lot and his daughters and what was the purpose of that story? Like, I can understand if it's a mythology, then you've got the Garden of Eden, you've got the Tower of Babel, which sounds like an old story of let's figure out how languages work. What is with Lot and his daughters?
Which part? The part where he offers them up to be raped, or the part where they switch it and say that they essayed him while he was drunk twice? Or all?
Yeah, the second one.
The second one. So
yeah,
I think
it sounds like a grim fairy tale of like, do that, you don't do this or else this will happen. And I'm like, okay, if it's a grim fairy tale, then all right, whatever.
So I think it's just an origination story of the Ammonites and the Moabites and why they would have been.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's an origination story. That's all. But like, it's interesting the way
I guess I get. Say again.
I was gonna say it's interesting the way they presented it. Like, it's like a couple of verses before they had no power, no voice, and he's offering them up to save the butthole of a man, right? To be raped. And then verses after that, after they've fled the city, their moms turn to salt. Now all of a sudden they have enough voice, enough power to get their dad drunk to sleep with their dad. Like, it makes no sense. And I honestly hate that story because I think
I hated it too, but I kept forgetting. I think it was like the power of like what they did to their dad that I completely forgot the origin story of the Moabites and the other tribe, where I was like, let's just focus on what happened here. What? So, okay, that makes more sense, unfortunately. I forget that was the origin story. So thank you.
You're welcome.
That was
but I was going to say, like,
call.
it's the story. Oh, you're welcome. I was going to say, like, the reason I hate the story is because it's the story that actually it allows room for the church to just turn a blind eye when things like that happens in the church. That's why I absolutely hate this story. Yeah.
I wish I could help. I don't know anything about this. I mean, I know vaguely. I'm like, yeah. That time where the dude had sex with his daughters or whatever. It's like, what purpose does that serve in the Bible? I don't fucking know. Why is that in there? Take it out of there. Why is it in there?
And then, like, where did he get the alcohol? He leaves. He's fleeing for his life. You got angels like throwing salt every fucking where to destroy the city, right? He flees with his wife and his daughters. The wife turns around, she turns to salt, and they're still fleeing. They find a cave because there's nowhere else for them to go, but he has alcohol.
Magical pockets.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bag of holding. I don't know. I'm getting my D&D stuff in there, but yeah, bag of holding. So that makes sense. Again,
I wonder if it's culturally like if people would carry alcohol with themselves. Like, I don't know if like, because I don't know a lot about like what a person would have with them on a daily basis. Like, maybe it's like having a flask.
Think they have flask?
Yeah. It's like, I'm ready to go.
Flask party.
Yeah.
Well, especially like if the water is impure and they didn't quite know about like how to get the water correct. You know, back in the day when a lot of people drank alcohol because the water was unclean and they didn't know how to purify water. So.
Yeah, or like add a little alcohol to your water. I know that people would like quote purify it by just like adding a spirit or like watering down a beer or something.
Well, that's what they mostly drank back then, right? Like they mostly drank alcohol and beer because they didn't have clean water most of the time. And so like just even the motive of, they got him drunk on purpose. That was their choice of drink back then. It's not like they had Aquafina
Right.
or running tap water, right? So it doesn't make any sense. But hey, I have a song on Spotify and Apple Music that I wrote under my artist profile Thinker. It's called Lots Daughters and Lots of Daughters. And I actually address in the song that they didn't have a choice, right? They were just thrown out without being asked. And I wrote the song from their voice. It's like them telling the story. And in the song, I say we didn't choose the cave, right? Like, but they say that we did. Like how could we choose anything when silence was the language that we spoke, right? Like we don't hear their voices. But yeah, you should definitely check it out.
Yeah, thank you. And then going back to Sinners, I haven't watched the movie, but I did see it's called CZ's World. He's a white man who does horror, and so he did one whole video about the impact of the blues in the Black culture, and then the impact of Irish songs in that as well. And I'm like, this is great. So I'm gonna enjoy it when I eventually see Sinners and be like, this is great. Yay.
Yeah, get a free 1 week HBO. Just like use one of your side emails and get a free week of HBO and watch it because it's so worth it. I've watched it a few times.
Yeah.
I was like randomly decided to watch it and then was like, oh, there's a lot going on, and like your brain has a lot to like pick through because there's so many different layers and like so many different things happening in the movie. Just really like excellent artistic film for sure. And like the story of racism being told through music and the oppression and how like white people have dominated that aspect and like stolen all of the music that Black people have created, which is crazy. So yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, the movie's good.
Can you do
Not
that
the thing
through
that
a
they
computer?
did. Yeah, just HBO.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, all right then.
Highly recommend.
Awesome.
We've got a couple other callers waiting, Lindsay. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you, and feel free to call back again sometime.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Lindsay. Bye.
Bye, Lindsay.
Okay, I feel like
more atheists.
Yeah. Do you want to leave it open for a little bit and see if we can get a theist, or are you okay like closing it, or what do you want to do?
You can leave it open a little bit. I'm good.
Okay, so lines are still open, y'all. We really, really, really want to talk to a theist today. That's like the number one. If you're a Christian and you believe in God and you want to talk to us about the Bible and why the Bible is actually good, especially if like you have an angle on the Bible is good for women. How is religion good for women? Because we take the position that religion is harmful and particularly harmful for women and other minority groups. So yeah. Call us, please, 720-619-2288. And if you're sitting in the chat, I see y'all chomping at the bit for a spicy call. You know what to do. Like, share, touch the screen as many times as humanly possible. And that will help us out a little bit in getting some new calls in here. So we'll keep lines open for a little while longer. And in the meantime, do either one of these jump out to you?
I'm not... like Christian AI brainwide, I don't know what that is, and I don't know about putting it into it. I don't know. I don't want to have another conversation about racism.
Okay. Do we want to let that person go for today?
Yeah. I think we've talked about racism a lot.
Yes, Dragon. If you're listening, will you please let the racism conversation go? We don't want to talk about that anymore today. While we're waiting for a Christian is going to call in, I 100%. Where are they said that they were going to make 1 million Charlie Kirks, after he died, they were like, we are Charlie or whatever. Y'all, where have you been? I feel like the calls have been so slow. I'm actually curious because you are usually on the late night time slot and you're on TikTok. Do you feel like it's slowed down recently or is the crazy just as much on TikTok right now?
It has definitely slowed down. I think a lot of them are somewhere studying because I think they did not expect for atheists to be as knowledgeable about the Bible as we are.
Sure.
And so I think what I'm seeing is a lot of believers are now hosting their own lives. Yeah. So they're doing a lot of studying, preparing to actually address the things that we bring up. So
that's like worse. Because like they get so high on themselves because because it's not like anybody can do this, but it is not super hard to set up on TikTok live and just have a chat and like have a Google phone number. So, but then they think that they're as good as us, and then they want to have a formal debate, and it's like, no.
They can't even talk to each other. Like, they have a serious issue that they have not they have not recognized, is that there's 45,000 different denominations. And so there's never two of the same Christians on alive at the same time. And I'll be scrolling the news feed, and they're in there screaming at each other about whether the Trinity is real or Jesus said he was God, or like they don't agree. And so like they don't realize you have to fight all 45,000 of them and then atheists.
Yeah, truly.
Right.
This is kind of the thing, and I'm actually curious your thoughts on this. I know a lot of atheists describe themselves as maybe not primarily as agnostic, but they will kind of say, my atheism is agnostic in that if I saw proof, then I would be open to the idea of changing my mind, right? But I consider myself Gnostic in that I know that y'all, like, the definition of God and the frameworks of religion are so wildly inconsistent that it is not even worth keeping my mind open on that subject. I mean, like, of course, if God revealed himself tomorrow, I would have no choice but to update my worldview. But I just think for the most part, like you were just saying, they argue so much with themselves. Like, we don't even have a consensus. We have a lot of people who believe that Jesus was real, but there's not even total agreement within that space that he was actually a guy who lived, like, not even speaking to whether he was the son of God or anything. And so, yeah, so many of those things, I just feel that it's like, y'all get consistent and bring something testable to the table, and then I'll bother. But I just don't feel like I need to carry in my heart like agnosticism. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. I think, like, with the agnosticism for me, it keeps me from having to bear the burden of proof when I'm
proving that there isn't one.
Yeah, because I don't think either side can definitely say a God does not exist and a God does exist. So that I don't have to bear the burden of proof, I just say I'm agnostic on that. And if the God ever, if NASA ever put a big ass telescope in the sky and goes, there is a God, I'm gonna say, okay, so his ass exists, now what? Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, what's gonna change, right? Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I always try to explain to a believer that me saying that I don't believe your God exists is different from me saying I would never worship that motherfucker. Like, I would never worship your God ever, because the fact that I don't subscribe to your religion is not because I don't think your God exists. I don't like your God. I don't like the things that he talks about. I mean, the things that he teaches, the things that he stands for, the impact that he has on the people that believe in it, that are indoctrinated into the words that the God says in the book. So my rejection of the God in his teachings and doctrine has nothing to do with whether it exists or not.
Yeah, they're like two separate questions. Like, of like, is your God moral? Would I follow your God? Do I think that your religion has good impact in the world? Like, those are all separate issues to like whether the thing is real or not. And I agree. Yeah, if the Christian God is real, that guy's terrible, and we should overthrow him, like, legitimately. Like, we should be like, get the fuck out of here. Let's kill God, is kind of the perspective I have toward that. And like, if they were to point a telescope at some nebulous being, I would be like, cool, that's another form of life. My first reaction wouldn't be, that created the universe or whatever. Like, what's the phrase? Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Like, I'm just gonna always default to, oh, I don't understand that yet. We don't know what that is yet. That doesn't mean that it's God. We're not filling the gaps with God.
Exactly. And then I don't get the who created you then? Like, they feel like you're supposed to worship it, fall down on your knees and do all of this because they believe that this God created the earth, created their life. They don't even treat their parents like that, and you know that they created you. You
Yeah.
know they did the boop scoop boogie woogie and created you.
I was about to say, how much do you think these people respect their mothers? Like, how much do you think
Right.
they do for their mothers on Mother's Day or any other day of the year? Like, do they even know their
Exactly.
mom's birthday? Yeah, you want to be so
Right.
high and mighty on your creator. Like, put some respect on that woman's name.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Listen, we got open lines still. We're hoping to get at least one theist call. If you're a Christian, if you're a theist, you're a God believer, explain to us why we should believe in God. You know, I'm sitting here like I don't really even feel a need to entertain most evidence of God, but I will. It's my job today is to listen to what you have to say. Do you have a reason for why you believe? Do you have any evidence? Because it would be ground shaking, right? If you do have evidence, I will have no choice but to believe in the evidence of my eyes or whatever you present here. So you could convert an atheist today. I wouldn't worship your God, but if you had proof, I would have no choice but to say, yeah, that's a guy who is real and exists. Convert atheists today. Wouldn't that be a crazy thing? That would be wild. I want to believe in God if God is real, to be clear. I want to believe true things. And this is like, I think that's a distinction.
Yes.
Because I want to believe things that are true. And it matters to me if I believe things that are true.
Yeah. That's what they don't get.
Yeah.
If it's true, we would not reject it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they have such a hard time when we're having conversations about the Bible, because we're looking at what words mean, historical evidence, because we want to know what's true. If they can convince us that the God is real, we would have no choice but to believe what's true, because that's how our mind is wired.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like belief is not really a choice that you make, right? Like when you deconstruct, and like I didn't have a really strong belief, so I wouldn't really describe what I went through as like a deconstruction, but folks who truly do go through like I really genuinely believed this and it was a process to deconstruct from it. It's not like a choice you make. It's just that you realize suddenly, oh, I'm no longer convinced that this thing is real. And that is like outside of your ability to control. So, you know, for me, I just have a different threshold, I guess, of what I'm willing to believe that, and I don't know what makes our brains different from other people where it's like, I don't just believe stuff because somebody told me it, you know?
There's actually a study that says that our neurological makeup is just wired differently from those that are more prone to not accept evidence when facing like questioning their religion, their doctrine, or whatever. Because of the way their brain is wired, no matter how much information you put in front of them, they will never accept the evidence.
Weird.
Yeah.
Also depressing.
I think about that all the time. It's like, oh my gosh.
Like, yeah, it's like to a certain extent, that kind of indicates that there are some folks for whom like at least evidence is not going to be convincing, right? That doesn't mean that there can't be an emotional argument made, or that you know, if a person with that neurochemistry couldn't like go through an experience that causes them to no longer believe. Like sometimes people go through trauma and they come out the other side and they're like, this has destroyed my faith. Like, how could God ever let that kind of thing happen to a person? I've talked about this with Arden before. I truly have a disease where I think if I just make arguments and present facts, then people will change their minds. And it just doesn't work that way most of the time, unfortunately.
I think that's my problem, my issue too.
Yeah, you just like expect people to respond rationally. Like a therapist told me once that like I was being equipped with all these interpersonal effectiveness skills, how to advocate for myself, how to set boundaries and everything. And she was like, just keep in mind, these skills only work on people who are operating rationally, like who can receive what you're saying in a rational way. So no matter how much you present your arguments exactly right, or you say it exactly right, or you time it exactly right, there are some folks who are just not operating rationally. And we run into that all the time here because I don't even think that people rationalize themselves into the belief of God. It's a faith-based system. It's a feelings-based system. and they're just willing to keep. Do you remember back in the day when Bill Nye and Ken Ham debated, and Bill Nye was like, is there anything that anyone could do or present to you, any evidence that would make you not believe in God? And Ken Ham was straight up like, no, there's not like, you couldn't tell that man anything to get him to stop believing, which is crazy.
Because he's wired that way. Like, no amount of evidence, absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I guess thanks for being honest about it.
Yeah. It's his error. He thinks he's going to die if he doesn't have his belief.
That's fair. And that would be just a terrible thing if Ken Ham died. It would just be awful. I would be beside myself. Well, it looks like we're not getting very many theist calls today. We do still have a line open for a theist if you want to come in and change our minds about God and Jesus and all that stuff. We do have a couple calls waiting right now. Do either one jumping out, or do we just want to take them in the order that they came?
The misogyny one is interesting.
Awesome. Let's talk to Maureen, who is not Lindsay, and I keep forgetting to change the lower third. I'll change it in a second. We're going to talk to Maureen, she, her pronouns, from Canada, who's an atheist and wants to talk about misogyny. Maureen, you're live with Luxander and Thinker. How's it going?
Hi. Yeah, I wanted your opinion on where you thought the misogyny must have come from, because men organized religion and they definitely made sure that they put in how women are thought of and treated. And so it came from before. I mean, they used it in their religion to keep up the way they think. And I'm wondering what you think. Is it fear? Is it something biological in men that they can't be equal with women? Or I mean, what do you think it came from?
That's a good question. I know they had womb envy.
Womb envy. I love that. I love the twist on the penis envy. That's so funny.
I never thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like medieval men used to cut the tips of their penises to bleed once a month because they wanted to mimic the women's period. So
with the risk of infection, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a crazy thing to do.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's wild.
Yeah, I think, I think they were envy of the fact that one, they had no idea that their semen was participating in the reproductive process. Like they knew that they had something to do with it, but they didn't know it was their semen. And so they didn't quite understand that after they have sex, the woman produces a baby, right? So they were jealous of the fact that life came from the woman and they could not do it. They were doing everything to try to figure out how they could reproduce that, right? So I think it has to do with that.
So do you think it's it sounds like you're saying it's jealousy? Or is it that they thought women just had a power that they just could not compete with? Therefore,
I definitely think it's that. Yeah, I definitely think it's that, because this is why mother goddess worship was so prevalent in the ancient Near East. The woman was the wisdom. She was also the giver of life. And so they worshiped her because they literally thought she was creating life by herself. They had no idea. It wasn't until 7th century CE that they realized that semen had something to do with the reproduction process. So,
that's odd.
Yeah. And
I was just going to say, I wonder too if it stems from like a might makes right type mentality, like that men are physically stronger. And in this situation where like there is, if a woman doesn't just have a gun, she doesn't have a cast iron pan that she can beat her husband over the head with or anything. So I wonder if it's just like a natural result of a culture that values strength. And like the type of strength that women display is more subtle or less overt, maybe.
Well, that sounds like something to me, because I think in a primitive society, you needed the strength, I guess, to be able to to live, to survive. And I guess men thought, well, I must be more important because you need me more And then they turn around and see women producing babies and go, well, this ain't right. You've got the bigger power, really. So I don't know. Is ego comes into it or what?
It's definitely had to be okay. So during the Neolithic period, the women were the hunter gatherers, right? The men would babysit in exchange for sex, because they had no idea that they were baby daddies. So they would babysit the kids while the women went out and gathered food and hunted. That was during the Neolithic period, right? So like when we get into when the rise of patriarchy started to happen, and this is why I say so I have a different interpretation of the Adam and Eve story. I think the Adam and Eve story is about the rise of patriarchal ideals, which is why you see Adam being created first and Eve coming from her rib, right? Then you see in the story she is actually an Azer, right? Which means that she was created as an opposite. She was created as a strong opposite to Adam, but she was to be what the God was to man. So she was created kind of like his supervisor. And then because she made this mistake, or she sinned or whatever, she gets demoted under him and he gets promoted for doing not shit. Okay, he shows no leadership capabilities whatsoever. He just stands there like a mud man and just does what he's told. But he gets elevated. This is the telling of the story of the fall of the mother goddess worship, and the rise of this patriarchal God and this patriarchal system, right? Where the man takes dominance over the woman, and she is to submit to him, and all of this stuff. And so I think when this patriarchy did start in Africa, I will say that it wasn't as misogynistic and dominating as we see it moving into the Levant area. But once you get this patriarchal God, you start to see women become dominated and they become property, because the the patriarchal God needs to stump out this mother goddess worship, especially this one specifically. This one does not want anybody worshiping any other God, let alone a female deity. And that's what the Jezebel story is about. So like, and I think it started with this patriarchal monotheistic God, because even in the ancient Near East, mother goddess worship, it was still patriarchal in like Assyria and all of that, but the female deities was just as important as the male deities. The women were allowed to be educated and operate in government, right? Like Jezebel was diplomatic, right? And she was educated in the story, like she understood the law and all of that. And that was the culture, right, of other ancient Near Eastern nations. And so I think it actually, this whole idea of misogyny actually comes from this monotheistic patriarchal God and its people who wanted to basically control the women and her power of giving a man lineage. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. Do you think there's something in men that make them want to be the leader more than like women want to take control?
Jealousy.
Do you think men think that they need that or something? Does that make sense?
Jealousy, if anything, I would say it started with jealousy, but today I would say they're indoctrinated into that is the definition of what being a man is. And when I was telling my daughter the other day, I was like, men have to be taught how to be a man, but women ain't running around saying, I didn't have a daddy to teach me how to be. I didn't have a mama to teach me how to be a woman, because these are social constructs, right? We're just doing what we do. We do, like, we are just doing what we do. Life gives us shit and we deal with it. But then you have this very masculine misogynistic definition of what a man is.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't have anyone to teach them how to be that, then they don't know how to be a man, and you got bigger problems. So I think it started with jealousy, but definitely today it is the indoctrination of masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interestingly,
You can see
I'm
this is how.
reading a little bit right
Oh,
now
I'm sorry.
about no, you're good. I'm reading because I was like, oh, there must be like anthropological study of this, right? Because yeah, in hunter-gatherer society, we were very egalitarian. Like things were very equal. There wasn't like this oppression problem. And then it seems like, I mean, research into this shows basically that patriarchy started to arise when we started doing agriculture, which is interesting. So I'm like looking at this article, and I don't know how accurate this is. It's referencing a study, and then it's like maybe exploring a little bit through conjecture, but that basically it has to do with who leaves the family and like to join someone else's family, right? Like, so, in America, we have so much so a woman leaves her own family that she takes her husband's name, right? Um, and sometimes that means like going to live with your husband's whole family, which might have been the case in like early agricultural development around 12,000 years ago. So like men who were family members lived near one another, and the women was the one who was moving away. So the power becomes concentrated among the people who have relationships with each other. So it seems like that might have been basically what happened, that something about making the move to agriculture caused men to start centralizing their power in that way, and like giving each other uh, things like trading with one another, specifically upholding each other's power. And anything like about why that happened is kind of by its very nature speculation, because there's not like written records of what people thought at that time. But it seems like the mechanism of agriculture and settling down and no longer being nomadic kind of engendered this need to continue concentrating power and resources. Maybe like it's probably about resource hoarding, actually, now that I think of it. Because that's the first time in human history where we're able to really significantly produce more food than we need. Because, in hunter-gatherer, it's like you go get the food that you need for today and maybe tomorrow morning mostly. And you don't really hold on to food for longer because we can't preserve it. And we're not accessing a huge amount of it because what you have is just what's in the woods. And maybe you're deliberately cultivating berry bushes right next to the trail, the way that Native Americans did. But that still isn't the same as like wide scale. I can now save this for the winter and trade with it and everything. So maybe something about the development of resource hoarding has something to do with it.
Yeah. And to me, this is where you see how religion has really harmed women so much, because instead of developing the way we could develop together, men have found a way to, well, I'm going to make sure I'm on the top. And religion has become the way to do that everywhere around the world. So it's not just Christianity. So that's how harmful religion is.
Mm-hmm. It's not like the source of all the bad things, but it definitely upholds and reinforces the worst impulses that people have in a way that's just not helpful.
It's funny, when I was listening to you talking about the women being the gatherers, the hunter-gatherers, and actually they're like holding the family together, really. The women are the ones doing it, and the men are almost on the outside. And this might sound weird, but it made me think of how elephants are. It's all women, in a group with the bull off to the side whenever you need them to reproduce. And they seem to have worked it out that, we take care of one another and we're fine. And I mean, somewhere along the way, I think humans might have been that way, and it just went wrong somehow. I don't know. That might just sound too weird.
I like Lux said, I think that it definitely went wrong, when they started trading with each other. But it's definitely out agriculture. And this is why I say the Genesis narrative has a lot to do with, I mean, it's a etiological tale that's explaining this evolution over time, right? Or it's saying why this happened. We have to do this because this started happening in history. And when it's saying to Eve, you shall bear pains through childbirth and all of that, studying it from the Hebrew text and the concept, it's agricultural language that they're using, right? Even her punishment has to deal with agriculture and the switch from pastoralism to agriculture. The Cain and Abel story is about that. And so I definitely think that it was around about that time when they started trading with each other. Like the whole story, like with Nebuchadnezzar coming into Jerusalem. Like he came down there historically and took like 100,000 people back to Babylon with him because they had a tsunami, a flood that turned their grounds into salt marshes, so they could not get their grounds to cultivate for agriculture. So he came into the Levant area to like 100,000 people back with him to fix that, because that's where that was the power that the men held, was their ability to trade in that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all I really wanted to hear. You give me a lot to think about. Yeah, that's really all I had. Thanks for the discussion.
You're welcome, Mari. Thank you.
We appreciate you.
All right.
I'm sure we'll talk to you again sometime.
Have a good. Yeah.
Bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
Okay, we do have one spiritual person who just called in, and I think I would like to end the show after that. We'll do super chats. We've got super chats of $5 or more. We'll read those at the end. If y'all have any questions you want to ask, we'll get to those after we take this call. So thank you so much, Dragon, for call screening. I'm going to go ahead and close lines now. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for sticking around because I was not able to screen today. We are going to go ahead and take our last caller for tonight. Carlos, him from Illinois, is a spiritual caller and wants to talk to us about religion and spirituality. Carlos, you're live with Luxander and Thinker. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you guys today?
Living the dream, I was about to say, and then I muted myself.
Doing good, Carlos. How are you?
Living the dream. That's all we can do. So my question is, are you guys...
Yeah, go for it.
So I can see the title of the Bible is bad for women, and so and you guys are atheists, so I can see that you guys are anti-religion. But I do have a question: are you guys anti-spirituality as well, or is it just, or have you not delved into spirituality as much as the anti-religion aspect of what you guys are speaking on?
What are you calling spirituality? Like, what is spirituality?
I'm calling it the combination of knowing with science, if that makes sense.
Knowing what with science?
I'm sorry. Knowing mixed with science, or
what are you knowing?
That truth with science. So for instance, there are aspects of religion that touch upon spirituality, such as like souls, spirits, etc. But which I would say that we have souls, we have spirits, we come from like different realms, or we all come from source. I don't like using the word God because God implies of a being, of a creator, and that's like kind of where religion branches off of basic truth and twists it to manipulate people. So that's where like kind of my meaning of spirituality is.
What is okay? I don't know what a soul is, right? And I typically ask people, what is the difference between a soul and a spirit? And when you say that you combine these things with science, has science proven these things? Has science proven that a soul and a spirit actually exist?
I have not done research on specific science sciences and their findings of souls or spirits. I can only go off of my personal experience, which I would say would be a spiritual awakening. And that is where I get my information from. I also get my information. It's gonna sound really weird, but it's gonna sound weird. But I also get my my information from outside sources, outside of the human realm, the physical realm, as well. Which, so I'll basically say I get my information from extraterrestrials as well too.
So you channel.
You guys, pardon?
You channel extraterrestrials from other planets, like Bashar.
Yes.
Okay.
Like Bashar.
Okay. And so the extraterrestrial in this case would be akin to believers of Jesus, channeling Jesus Christ or the Holy Spirit.
Can you say that one more time?
Channeling the extraterrestrial would be the same as a believer believing that they're channeling Jesus Christ or the Holy Spirit.
I would say no, because when someone, because I would say like when people pray, or, well, can you define channeling Jesus in
like you're
your
getting
eyes
information, like you're getting a download from the extraterrestrial. You're getting you're getting information from a different dimension that those of us here on this physical plane don't have access to. And so this extraterrestrial and this other dimension is telling you things, like you can talk to it and it's telling you like higher level information. And that's the same thing believers claim, right? When they're praying and talking to their God through the Holy Spirit. Right?
In a way, I would say yes, but at the same time, no, because a lot of people, when they try to, a lot of, like, Christians, when they try to pray and channel, they just pray, and they don't really go on about how they have back and forth actual conversations. They just kind of just speak to something without a response. Whereas, like, when you open your third eye and you have interactions with, like, when you cultivate your telepathy, you're able to have actual voices in your head hearing stuff back and forth.
I mean, the problem with that is that the problem with a lot of these things with spiritualism, and like I would say I have like an emotional connection to things that I think other people would qualify as spiritual. But the problem is that there are so many more simple explanations for things. Like, your brain can do all kinds of insane shit. Like, if you deprive people of sensory information, our brains will just create sensory information. So if someone's like, I focused really hard and I heard a voice, it's like, okay, but your brain can just do that. And like, is it more likely that your brain is basically creating information for you, functionally like a little miniature hallucination? And I don't say that as like hallucinations are normal. Oh, I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye real quick. That was a hallucination. That's a normal thing that your brain is just doing all the time. It's trying to construct information. It's trying to give you signals. And so is it more likely that your brain just created some kind of stimulus because you were seeking it? In fact, like, you are trying to create that if you're channeling or you're attempting something like telepathy or something like that. So it just seems to me that does not sufficiently explain, or like sufficiently, that's not like evidence that someone is actually hearing someone else's thoughts, or that they're actually communing with the dead or whatever. It just is like, and I know that it's kind of a bummer worldview sometimes. Like, yeah, if magic were real, that would be fucking cool. I agree. If you could think and like connect with the afterlife and hear the voices of those who've passed, or if you were telepathic and you could hear other people's thoughts, that would be very cool. I agree. I just don't think that there is sufficient evidence especially in like a reproducible way. Like, can we get that to happen again? Can we get that to happen again on tape? Can we measure the circumstances, and can someone else successfully do whatever spiritual thing we're talking about, whichever spiritual behavior is at issue here? I don't know, Carlos, what do you think about the idea that like your brain is powerful enough, like the placebo effect exists, right? Like you can take medicine and you'll feel better, and then you find out, oh, I was actually on the sugar pill. You know, like the power of the mind and how deeply influential that can be over the body, versus, oh, there is actually like I'm speaking to the beyond, or I'm hearing someone's thoughts. What do you think?
So if you're giving a lot of power to the mind, like you say, I would just say, why don't you think that the mind has the power to telepathically communicate with outside sources?
Well, because there's no evidence of that. Like, and when folks think, oh, I could just tell what you were thinking, it's like, yeah, but is that your telepathy, or is that because you can see and you have the ability to process body language because we evolved to be a social species, you know? Like, I think the mind is powerful in the sense that you can convince yourself of damn near anything, and you can hallucinate things. Like, our brains are, okay, I'm going to nerd out a little bit here because this is kind of how I like think about consciousness and everything. You are inside your skull. Like, you, as the thing that you think you are, is just purely happening inside your skull. Your eyes and your fingers and your ears are receiving information and translating it and generating it. Like, babies can't see the way that we can see, because your brain actually has to learn how to identify shapes and important information and how to process visual depth, you know, because we have binocular vision. So your brain and everything you experience in the world is just like sensory information that your brain is constructing. That's why I say like hallucination is normal, because kind of you're just hallucinating all the time. Like, you don't actually see the world. You don't actually ever directly interface with the world. There is all this stuff in between the you in your brain and the physical world outside you. And you're only ever like working with a facsimile of what's around you, right? Like a colorblind person can't see color. Their sensory information is different. So for them, functionally, the world is totally different than it is for somebody who's not colorblind. But like, so the fact that, you know, even when you hear something outside your brain, that's like information that's, okay, the sound waves are happening and they're creating a sound, and then my brain is processing that, and now I'm like experiencing what we call sound. But you can just like think real hard and hear a voice, because your brain is like, oh, I expect to hear this sensory information, right? So that's what I mean when I say like you are able to create stuff in your brain, and that's more likely than it is that you are literally hearing someone else's thoughts, you know?
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that. But at the same time, I don't know why you're not going the extra step of saying, okay, well, if the brain can do that, then why can't the brain do like, you know, be able to have humans using telepathy?
Amongst my sensory organs, and I'll explain, amongst my sensory organs, I do not have an organ that can pick up electromagnetic waves. Like, I do not have the ability to hear like radio waves in the air. Like, we would be drowning all the time if you could hear electromagnetic energy, or if you had the ability to perceive it. It would be overwhelming, because our entire world is just covered in FM radio, AM radio, internet, like phone signal. Like, there is so much electromagnetic noise around us. We can't see it, taste it, touch it, hear it. And if we could, then that could be interesting, right? But we simply do not possess any type of like organ or antenna that can pick up on electromagnetic information. If we could, then I would say, yes, telepathy is possible, because your brain is also like, the thoughts that you have are electromagnetic energy, because it's neurons, it's literally electricity. But we don't have the the hardware required to be able to pick up someone else's brainwaves.
But let me ask you a question. So has this only happened when you are communicating with aliens, or are you claiming that you've been able to have a conversation with another human being using telepathy?
I'm saying that this happens when I communicate with extraterrestrials. I have not yet had a a conversation with another human face to face.
Yeah, like I think that would be
but
I think that would.
But that's not what. Go ahead. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, I was going to say I think that would be definitely important, right? Because why would your brain have the ability to go outside of time and space to communicate, but not be able to use that same ability here within the realm that you're in with another terrestrial?
I would say that we as humans are time and space. We are consciousness, and we're all collected, or we're all part of the same consciousness. That's what I would say, which would imply that we do have that ability to communicate with each other, but not on the way that like TV and movies would say that telepathy is.
But I'm saying you should be able to communicate with them the same way, but it should be the same way that you're able to communicate with these aliens, right? With the extraterrestrials, right? You should be able to have a conversation. You're claiming they're talking to you, and you're talking to them using telepathy. So one of the issues with spirituality is that it also has that superiority of consciousness. There's hierarchies. Like you've got to be thinking that you're the only one walking around with the ability to do this thing. If your reasoning is that the reason you cannot communicate with another terrestrial here on this plane the same way you are with these extraterrestrials is that humans are corrupt and humans have not figured out yet that they're consciousness and they don't know how to do what I can do. You've got to think that you are the only human on Earth who has reached this level of consciousness because you aren't able to communicate with other terrestrials here in this plane in that way.
I would agree with that, but I would also say that everyone does have the ability to. It's just a matter of what vibration or what frequency you're vibrating at.
And you're the only one that's reached this frequency. You're the only one on Earth that have reached this vibration.
No. I'm saying there's millions of people that are able to reach a frequency of where we're able to start communicating with extraterrestrials. At the same time,
I'm not talking about speaking with extraterrestrials. No. I'm not talking about speaking with extraterrestrials. Are you the only one who has reached this frequency to have this ability to use telepathy here on Earth in this realm? Because you're not speaking. So you've spoken to another terrestrial using telepathy? You've had a conversation?
Yes.
You realize you just said no a couple of minutes ago.
No. I said no. I am not the only person.
No. I asked if you can have conversations with another terrestrial the same way that you have conversations with an extraterrestrial, and you said no a minute ago. So you're walking around and having full conversations with other humans on Earth using telepathy the same way you do with extraterrestrials.
Me, I am not walking around having telepathic conversations with people face to face. No, I am not.
Why not? If y'all have the ability Why not?
That would so dramatically improve the movie-going experience. My partner and I used to talk about like learning ASL and getting glow-in-the-dark gloves, like so that you could just yeah. But yeah, why wouldn't you? Like, you know, it's like that moment when you look across the room and one of you is like, I'm ready to go home silently, and then your partner knows and they're like, all right, let's pack it up and go. Like, why wouldn't you just be having that conversation through your mental link if you could?
Because, well, so I would say it depends on the other person. Where if someone's not aware of this, or if they haven't opened their third eye, it would be much harder for that to.
The premise of the question, Carlos, the premise of the question here is that the person that you are talking to is also on the same frequency as you. Like, because you're saying that you're not the only person, and you're saying that you have met other people who claim to be able to do this. So it's like, for the two of you, why would you not just be using that mode of communication if that was an option?
I've never actually tried it like that, to be honest.
Well, what if they didn't try you?
Wait, that would go a long way toward proving that it's real.
But why?
Yes. So,
but what if, like, how come they can't just tap into your thought? Why can't they just send you a message and say, "Hey, Carlos, I can see your third eye's open, guy," and you're like, "Who's in my head? Hey, guy, I like." Why do you have to be the one to start the conversation if there's multiple people who are on this frequency? And I think, like, to be honest, Carlos, because what you originally called in and asked about was whether we just didn't like religion or if we had an issue with spirituality. And spirituality is such a vague term, like people define it differently. So we have to ask, well, what do you mean by spirituality? Because sometimes people just mean personal growth. You know, sometimes people just mean alchemy, right? Like dealing with herbs and stuff. But with what you're saying, it is, for me, very problematic. I used to be a Christian. I went into New Age spirituality, Christ consciousness, and all of that. I went from speaking in tongue to believe that I was speaking to source and guardian angels and all of that stuff too, as I started to deconstruct. And it's no different than a believer believing that they're talking to God, that they're talking to the Holy Spirit and prophesying and getting messages from the Holy Spirit. And it still has that within religion, there is the hierarchy of the anointing, right? Like I was the lead choir director. Oh my God, my mom made me do choir director from youth all the way up to an adult. But every time I would sing, they would be like, "Oh, the anointing fell on you, and you show at the church up shouting." I really believed that as Holy Ghost came in, right, and entered my body, and it was the Holy Spirit singing and not me. And the more you make the people shout, right, the higher you are in the anointing. And so there's this hierarchy of this person is really anointed, this person is anointed, or this person ain't got the Holy Spirit yet. And that's what spirituality reminds me of, with this whole consciousness, opening your third eye, frequency, vibrations thing. Like, because you believe that you are channeling an entity from some other planet or dimension or higher dimension, you believe that you have something that other humans on Earth have not yet figured out, right? And so it's that your ability to channel this entity is your anointing. Like, you're on a higher level of anointing. It's the same thing. Like, we were all indoctrinated into believing that. Like, literally, do you light language?
Pardon?
Are you, when you're channeling them, are you light languaging?
I am not, no.
But you know what I mean when I say that?
English. I have not learned light language yet. No.
Yet, but you're looking to light language?
Yes, and I'm currently
and that's
studying,
another level of hierarchy.
Different aspects of.
light language is just speaking in tongues. And then honestly, like this new age spirituality is like this is this it's just speaking in tongue. All they're doing is going like doing that. Like it's the same as speaking in tongue. That's why I say it's the same, because like when in church, we had to tarry for the Holy Spirit, right? We had to dang near beg God to endow us with the Holy Spirit. Like I was 12 when I got the Holy Spirit, but I was on the altar every freaking tarry service. We had tarry service on Friday nights. Every terror service, I'm on the altar begging Jesus to get in, to fill me with the Holy Spirit. That light language is the same way, right? Like you're not begging a God, but you're waiting for some, I don't know, gift to just some entity to teach you how to light language, or for it to just like come on you. I don't know how in spirituality, I don't know how it works, because I just switched my tongues to light languages. I just stopped calling it tongues and started calling it light language when I first started deconstructing, and went towards New Age spirituality. But it's the same thing to me. It's all psychosis in my eyes. I was not channeling anybody. It was my thoughts the same way that I believed that I was talking to God and the Holy Spirit. So, and it's not because like you're out here condoning trying to take women's rights away like Christianity is, or condoning, misogynistic views, but it's further indoctrinating people into ideals that are not, I don't want to just flat out say not real, but it doesn't necessarily question, it's not logical, right? It's irrational. As Lux said, like our brains do not even have the capability to receive those type of electromagnetic waves for us to even talk to anybody telepathically. So like it's just further indoctrinating people into irrational thought. But I do know that it's a dopamine effect, just like tongues was a dopamine effect. The light language is a dopamine effect as well. So I feel like I'm on like what's that show where they go, it's a no for me, dog. What show, what show is that? It's
like
a no
American
for
Idol.
me. Yeah, like
American
it's a
Idol,
no
something
for
like
me,
that.
dog. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I hear you guys. I hear you guys.
Is there anything that you feel has been? Sorry, I just wanted to ask you, Carlos. Is there anything that has been communicated to you through this that makes you think that it's more likely that it's genuinely an extraterrestrial, or given what we've talked about with like tongues and light language and, the brain's powerful ability to create hallucinations in the absence of other stimulus, or you can think yourself into being sick if you're not careful. You call in sick and you end up actually sick that day. So has there been any information or something unique that has been communicated to you that has you specifically convinced that there couldn't possibly be a more naturalistic explanation?
No. I would say no. There's like no information where it's just like, okay, well, this is, an extraterrestrial per se from that perspective. I would say I'm thinking this is, or I assume these are extraterrestrials based off of what ancient Egypt said about taught about the third eye, and just other like, I say scrolls from a culture that I'm studying currently right now.
So what
is making
what is the nature of the communications then? Like, is this, like, did you say it's in English? Like somebody's telling you something in English? What is it that you're hearing in general? I'm curious.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what is being said back and forth?
Yeah. I want to know the nature of the conversation.
It's the nature of the conversations are mostly about self-improvement, self growth, always having a positive mindset, basically like just encouragement and just like reminders of like, okay, like you're doing something wrong, don't do that type of stuff.
I'm going to be so for real with you right now. I am genuinely wondering if this is a symptom of OSDD or DID. Like, if you're just like, part of your brain is telling you, or from some whence you are receiving like these messages of like, take care of yourself, here's how to, keep your head on your shoulders and everything. If you feel like that's genuinely coming from outside yourself, like that is not just your own voice in your head, like, sometimes I have like, oh, I have an initial thought and I may or may not agree with that thought, but I know that it came out of my own brain, right? Like, even if that's like an intrusive thought, if it's like, ooh, what if I drove off the highway right now? Like that kind of thing happens. Like, if you feel like you're receiving something that seems like it is not just that reflexive thought that you have, I do genuinely, and like I say this not with malice or anything, but I genuinely wonder if there is like a dissociative element going on there. Which again, Carlos, my whole worldview here, my whole perspective is, what's more likely? Is it more likely that you have like a dissociative disorder, or is it more likely that you're speaking to extraterrestrials? It is significantly more likely, because we have a ton of evidence of dissociative disorders. And it's the kind of thing that makes me like, correct, I mean, if it's not dysfunctional for you, then that's great. But that kind of thing can become dysfunctional. And it makes me wonder if you are currently seeking any kind of mental health care. And like, again, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not saying, oh my God, you're crazy. But like, that is the direction that I would push you on this.
That. Yeah. And I totally understand. And I could tell that you guys are logic based operating where there has to be evidence, and so you questioning that is or you putting it in that way is totally understandable. I definitely understand that. And I guess all I could say is, in due time, I do believe more things are gonna come out about humans and UAPs, which is gonna, go, and scientists are gonna discover a lot more about the human body. But that's not happening in 2026. But yeah, I understand where you guys are coming from and why you're saying the things you are. So, but
I would say, like, I initially, when you were initially describing this, I missed the part where you were like, this is telepathy with aliens. And like, since I caught on to that, because I'm like multitasking right now, I've been like, there is a genuine concern for your well-being, because what if the voices that you're hearing start saying like crazy things? What if they start encouraging you to do things besides just take care of yourself and be a good person and all this kind of thing? And it's like, I just am concerned that there might be an actual medical problem that should be investigated. And like, listen, and like, listen, I want you to be totally for real about me. Like, listen, Carlos, listen, so for real right now. If you are genuinely communicating with extraterrestrials, that is something that should be studied. You should be like, hey, I want to be studied in a lab. I want to do some experiments. I want to prove that this is real, because that would shatter our whole thing. Like the idea that extraterrestrials are real, the fact that like human beings could be able to receive telepathic information, like that would be very significant for all of human growth and well-being. And we would want to have that information. We would want to study it. So like, there's two pathways that this could go down, which is like, you talk to a therapist, you tell them what you're experiencing, and either they help you figure out that this is some kind of mental health problem, which is significantly more likely, or you have the opportunity to change the literal world. And I would just rather you be under professional guidance rather than like just kind of dealing with it by yourself, because that would be a huge responsibility, wouldn't it, Carlos? If you're like, I'm one of the only people on the planet who's capable of talking to aliens, that would be significant. It would be a significant responsibility, and that I would hope that you would want to, have support and reach out and work in a cooperative manner with other human beings so that we can further widen and establish that relationship. But yeah, I mean, I think like either way, I really want you to talk to someone who has like a degree in psychology or something. Or neuroscience, because again, if this is a physical, if it's really happening, then a neuroscientist should be able to help figure out what's going on, right?
Yeah, I do talk to a therapist, and I relayed this, and we've talked about this.
Okay, good. That makes me feel a little bit better, at least that you have somebody in your spheres who you're talking to.
I'm not gonna go off the rails. But yeah,
I mean, everybody thinks that.
I do have a therapist.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that though, that they're not going to go off the rails, and then things can escalate. And to see, the thing is, Carlos, that you've already told me you are primed to believe that there is more. You're like, I believe that we will find out more about UAPs, that we will have this. So like, of course, if you experience something, like if you see what appears to be a spaceship, you are primed to be like, oh, that's what that is, right? Like, so you're in this frame of mind where you are ready to believe in more because of what you have experienced. And that is an area of concern for me. So as long as as long as you are talking to a therapist and you're being full disclosure, you're being open with them about this, then I feel a lot better. And I'm feeling like you're not going to spiral out into a bad direction. But so long as you maintain that relationship and you are honest about what you're experiencing.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing her since 2020, and we've been having open dialogue. She's it's not like she's trying to diagnose me with anything. She just kind of listens and tries to ground me as much as possible with what I tell her about. But
sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to get your perspective of spirituality and stuff like that. But there will be a time when we may look back on this conversation and you guys are like, oh shit, okay. But that's just my perspective of where life will go to in the future. So
yeah,
I just want to know, like, what do aliens from another dimension, why are they so concerned about you taking care of yourself? Like, why aren't they giving us information for how to get these damn Yahtzees up out of here? Like, why, like, why aren't they giving us more helpful information? Like, why are they concerned with that?
I mean, that I could tie that in with a lot of stuff, like, for instance, religion, where extraterrestrials help seed humanity, and they have agendas, and they want to have they want to suppress certain stuff, but that would just go into conspiracies.
I mean, that's Anunnaki stuff, right?
I think the question is why you personally, Carlos. Like, if the aliens existed, why would they not be like trying to reach out to humanity as a whole and make sure that all of humanity is doing well? Like, why you specifically?
I mean, I really just want to know, like, why even that? Like, if they're reaching out to you about you taking care of yourself, obviously they see that there's a bunch of shit happening on the earth right now. Like, why aren't they giving you information that you can't Google, or like people within your community can remind you of? Like, you can put a reminder on your cell phone that says, Carlos, take care of yourself. Why do you need a alien from another dimension to tell you to take care of yourself, or to have these conversations about personal growth? That's I'm wondering why it's that type of information that you're getting from another dimension when there's loads of books here to read, like, about how to do that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I need their assistance per se. I'm just letting you know my experience with what I experienced, and those are the conversations. Like I all I need is myself, to be honest. But it's just like the kind of like encouragement is it's just there. It just happens.
But I'm saying, why do they need
that's what
to?
I would
Like,
say.
why do they need to? Like, it's so much happening on the earth, right? And if they're going to give you extra information or higher level information that the other humans on earth don't have access to, why is that information tailored to you and you taking care of yourself? And not, hey, here's what you guys need to do to get out from under that oppressive regime. Right?
Yeah. Well, I would say that it's like it's the specific race of extraterrestrial that would be tailored to me because I would be part of that race.
That still isn't explaining to me why they're not giving you revolutionary information. Like, it's still not explaining to me why they would not be giving you relevant information for like the earth as a whole and why it's only tailored to you. And I think those are things that you might want to think about as well, right? And how these could be your own thoughts, things that you might not be getting from the people around you, and you might not know how to articulate what you actually need from your family and your friends about how to encourage you, that you feel like, it has to come from some other dimension. I talked to a young guy on my live a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about spirituality, and he wants to build youth centers in his city. And he said that he has this higher consciousness. He goes across dimensions, and he says he's built youth centers in all these other dimensions, and he's has a family and all these other dimensions. And I asked him, I said, what you building youth centers in other dimensions for, and your ass is here in this dimension? He said, well, you got to do it first there before you can manifest it here. And I said, I said, are you afraid that you'll fail? Like, is that why you're in your meditative state? You're constantly building them in your mind and other dimensions? Because no matter how many of these these youth centers you build in these other dimensions, it's not fixing the problem here that you want to fix. And you can keep playing the Sims game in your mind and other dimensions. The youth center still isn't getting built here until you get up and go and build it. Right. And so the thing is, he was afraid of failure. So he just decided to stay in his mind and visualize and do what he want to do in his head and claim the higher consciousness and communicating with higher entities. And it sounds like to me, this conversation or this relationship that you have with this other entity in this other dimension could very well be what you feel like you are not getting around you, or that you don't know, right, how to articulate and say, hey, this is what I need. So it's easier talking to yourself through this other being.
I hear what you're saying.
I don't know that there's much else.
Way of looking at it as well.
Yeah. I don't know that there's much else that we can tread on this. We've been on for about 40 minutes, and if you are genuinely seeing a therapist and genuinely telling her these things and she hasn't referred you to a psychiatrist yet, I think she's not doing her job, and that you yourself should be proactively seeking a psychiatrist and like somebody who can potentially diagnose this problem, or who can refer you to a neuroscience lab where we can study your brain. Because you're able to do this amazing thing that nobody else can do. But I listen, Carlos, that's coming from a place of like, I care about you and I want good things for you. And I want you to be happy and healthy as best as you can. And I think that honestly, that pathway might be like speaking to someone with more expertise than your therapist. It's good that you have the therapist, but if she's like, yeah, this is normal and fine, then probably we need to escalate to another person with a different set of tools and expertise. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you go, Carlos. I wish you well. I hope you have a good rest of your night. And we might talk to you again sometime. I see that you've called a couple times before, so appreciate you, Carlos. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Have a good one, Carlos.
Bye.
All love. Take care.
It's like, are you trolling? Are you legitimately schizophrenic? Like, I don't know.
Serious. Yeah.
I think so. Like, yeah, for sure. Man, at least he was good natured about it. You know, I'm like, you might be like literally crazy a little bit.
Yeah. My ass was crazy. I thought I had the Holy Ghost. I thought I was talking to the Holy Ghost. So
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did your deconstruction process have any like professional psychiatry related to it, or like you were like, oh, I've been acting crazy and now I'm not crazy anymore? Like it was just okay.
It was not easy. I didn't just wake up and go, oh, this is crazy. No, it wasn't. It took me, like I said, a process. Right. I left the church. I left the God. Then I went to spirituality, Christ consciousness. I tried to hang on to Jesus for the longest. It took me about 5 years to let go of the word Christ.
Man.
Yeah.
I just like when I was 11, I was like praying, and then I was like, oh, there's no one on the other end of this phone call. And then I just stopped believing, and it was so easy. Man, that's wild. Okay, well, that was the end of our calls for today. Thank you so much for watching. We have super chats now. So if y'all want to have your comments read, we're reading $5 or more super chats right now. Let me get this all queued up and ready. And our first super chat, thank you so much for the $4.99 from Mikey Wallbanger. If that's your real name, Wallbanger, what a name. Yeah, anyway, says Lux, I mistakenly referred to you as a queen a week or so ago, and I should have said queen. I apologize. I don't know what queen is, but I like it.
Also, like you don't have to worry. I think that's the Queen King version, like they.
Oh, it's like Queen King. Okay, yeah. They've like smushed it together. Yeah. I appreciate that. You know, I also accept your majesty and my liege. Those are also acceptable. But in actuality, you don't have to worry about misgendering me. It's kind of not, I don't really care anymore. So don't worry about it. But thank you for your donation anyway. I appreciate you.
From the atheist mechanic, thankfully, we don't have to imagine a world without a God. We are already there. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And what kind of world would you make if you didn't have a God? Well, the answer that you have is right now. What are you doing right now? Thank you so much for the £5 from Willow's Worldview, who says, Blackness and Christianity were both assigned to us at the same moment of dispossession. Rejecting one still feels like betraying the other to many.
Yeah, that's so true.
That is really interesting. Yeah, like, because it's like part of the whole thing was having cultural identity like erased, streamlined, or whatever. So it's like, instead of being from an individual place in Africa, it's like, oh, you're just Black. African. And like at the same time, you're also forced into the religion. So that kind of makes sense. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Dusk Frame. The Christian God is a loser and smells funny.
True. What a loser. One time, Alyssa said something that I usually, I'll now sub it in as one of my titles. I'll change the titles. Like, God's ego is embarrassing. Like, I think the context was like Easter and the fact that he needs a sacrifice. Like, that's an embarrassing level of ego if you need that much adulation. Yeah. We got £5 from Pip, thank you, who says, what's your favorite anti-religious song? I love Dear God by XTC, though I need to find anti-theist black metal bands who aren't Nazis. I've been listening to Slayer at the gym recently. That's a brand new thing. I've never listened to metal. Never really thought that I liked metal, but I think it's perfect for pushing weights. And they've got a song called Angel of Death, I think is what it's called. I don't listen to the words that much, but it is like, God is terrible. Like, I don't know. It's like a rebelling against God. I don't really know. I'm not listening that closely, but yeah, that's what I got. Do you have any anti-religious music you listen to? Or you've probably created. You can plug again.
Yeah, I've created a lot. Yeah. I have about 2 albums of anti-religious music on Apple and Spotify. Nice. And I think my favorite one, well, I just wrote one called All My Jeans Be Cotton, but I have not released that one yet. But my favorite one has got to be Them Demons.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mix between hip hop and trap, R&B, but it's about when you are asking questions and your believer family says that's demonic to use your brain.
Okay.
But it's a really it's a clip of it of the song on my YouTube channel, so check that out. But a lot of people were asking like, when are you gonna drop this? When are you gonna drop this? But it bangs like really, really hard. Like it's so good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get a Spotify account just so I can listen to your music.
Let's see. Political Junkie, what do you all think of the book The Great Cosmic Mother? I saw that comment and I looked it up. I have not read it, but thanks for the book recommendation.
Yeah, I really want to get into read. I have such a difficult time pulling myself away from my computer, but I want to read in the evening. But you can't wait until it's too late at night because then you're so sleepy that you can only read a couple pages. I'm struggling a little bit with trying to get more reading in. Audiobook. I'll find an audiobook.
Yeah.
But I'd never heard of it either. Thank you for $10 from Hedonista, who says, thanks to the line for introducing me to the thinker. I could listen to that Neolithic goddess goodness all day. Welcome. Yes.
Thank you, Hedonista.
Yeah, it's been good having you on the team. You know, it's good to get like more voices who aren't just like a bunch of white dudes. You know, you got plenty of those. You got a big pool of those to choose from. And I get a little bit of face blindness. I'm like, which one are you again? I don't know. Thank you for the 5 Australian from Dusk Frame. Oh my gosh, it's warm in here. If communication with extraterrestrials is possible, I want to know if they're single. Stop it. Hold on. Wait, where's my fan? Where's my fan? We're bonking. It's bonk time. Go to bed. Bonk, 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 bonk. Now I'm going to fan myself because it's fucking hot in here. Next super chat. There we go.
Darth Willow, religion come in for the indoctrination, stay for the speaking in tongues because it's easier than taking responsibility for the dumb shit you say when you speak in English. That is so true.
True. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for the 10 Canadian from Unsapien 2009, who says, love your poll about tech issues. You needed a third option. Life is a tech issue. Listen.
Definitely.
Don't tell me how to do my job. I frequently include a third option that's just like, because there's pedants. But all the poll was there for was to encourage you to like and share, but without me having to say it every 5 seconds. So I guess it did its job because you clicked the screen and you did something.
Elise, is that Alice or Alicia?
I think it's Alice and Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper. Alice and Dr. Pepper. Love the show as always. It was a joy to see Thinker back on the show. Also, Lux, my spouse, is NB and uses mage as it was gender neutral title, like Mr. or Mrs. Team Art and Team Mayo.
Interesting. Mage. I've seen people say like captain as a gender neutral honorific. Man, you know, I don't honestly think about gender. Oh, NB is so non-binary. So this is an interesting intersection actually, because I know that NB also stands for non-black. So for trans people, NB is short for non-binary. And then if you say the letters NB, it sounds like NB. And so NB is like a little word that exists.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
It's kind of diminutive. People consider it kind of diminutive, like it's a cute thing. So yeah, that's what that means. We got $5 from Balthazar, who says, can't recommend Wind Rose enough. It's literally dwarf metal in all senses of the word. I'm not accepting more. I found Slayer and I'm like, I think this is fine. I'll just put on a Slayer mix every time I lift weights. Definitely not like trying to listen to more metal. I don't like music, if y'all didn't know that. I actually don't like music most of the time. So I'm just going to stick with what I've got. But thank you for the recommendation. I appreciate it anyway. I can't function when I'm listening to music. Like, okay, my partner and I, and that was the end of the super chat. So we're just going to shoot the shit for a quick second and then we're going to wrap up. My partner and I were putting together Lego, which, as you know, there's like a booklet and you just kind of put things in the places where they go. And we were listening to music and I kept making mistakes like missing pieces or putting stuff in the wrong place because it just like takes up so much of my brain capacity for there to be music on, especially if I know the words to the music.
Oh, okay.
It's just like, it's intensely distracting. So yeah, when I'm lifting weights, I'm like, I just want some like, I want like a beat mostly, and Slayer is thrash metal, which is basically just that like, and I'm like, okay, this is perfect for like lifting weights. When I'm doing cardio, I want to listen to a podcast or something. Like I actually don't want like high tempo music. And that's like one of the only times I voluntarily listen to music because it's annoying. I feel like such a weirdo being like, I don't like music. Just turn it off. But that's my life.
That's interesting.
Anyway, that's our show. We have been chewed gum today. That's what we've done today. And you are here, and now you're going to leave and go somewhere else. We don't have a show to send you to after today's show. So I'm going to eat pulled pork sandwiches for dinner. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yummy.
Yeah. So with that, y'all, we will start running the credits now. Look at the credits, patreon.com/calltheline, where if you want to support us in a broader sense, you know, super chats are great. But if you want to see LineCon in person happen, or if you want to see LineCon online, $15 on Patreon will get you a ticket to that once a month event that we have. So support the show. Thank you to everybody for participating, and we will see you next time.
Bye. Bye.